Welcome to Heart Magic Wisdom. Today's video title is 95% of people have the same purpose. And this idea came to me through the book series The Law of One. And the book series describes a very complicated picture of how the universe works. And for this video, I want to talk about one specific thing, specifically the part this Earth experience plays in this big complicated picture. And what Law of One says is that the universe is an eternal game in which there are some type of individual parts that we could call souls, and they go through different stages of experience, which is kind of like evolution. And if you look at a cat, for example, or a dog, or any sort of animal, they have much less conceptual identity of themselves. I think it's safe to say that they don't think about what they could have done differently 2 years ago, or plan for the future 2 years ahead. Now, human would be a stage up in the type of experience an individual part can have. And in addition to being a character in a world like a cat or a dog, now you also have this complex thinking, reasoning ability that allows you to think about yourself and think about things like the past or the future. This then makes the option set of the possible strategies to play the game bigger. So you as a human, and also cats and dogs, they make decisions, and you can make more complex types of decisions than cats or dogs. And Law of One says that there is a next stage, and it's already determined, it's already in motion. And the next stage is that as a human, you can polarize. And what polarization means in this sense is that if you make decisions every time that specifically make the situation better for you and others, that's called positive polarization. And if you make decisions every time that creates a situation where you win and others lose, that's called negative polarization. And if you're a little bit of this and a little bit of that, then that's no polarization. And a lot of the people on this planet, they don't really polarize. They go up a little and they go down a little. Maybe one day they are in a good mood and they are nice and generous to people, and one day they are in a bad mood and they say some bad words to somebody or are rude or whatever. This is just on the smallest scale. And what Law of One says is the universe is kind of testing you, and it wants to see who you authentically are. And if you authentically don't care that much about this, then it lets you do this lifetime after lifetime. So you will reincarnate, and then you have again similar kinds of options. And as long as you don't want to polarize, as long as this game is good enough for you, then you can keep doing it and nobody will stop you. But if you feel within yourself that you want to be a really positive force in the world or a really negative force in the world, then you will now play in this game of polarization. So the way that I would describe it is we are more or less an input-output system, like in game theory. And this means in every moment we have inputs like the stuff that's happening in the world, and then we have outputs such as our possible actions that we can do, like we can speak and we can move our body. And if we polarize, then we form this system in a way so that no matter what input we get into the system, we will create an output that is positive, and positive in our own estimation. So I'm not talking about like morals. It's about what we think is positive. And on the other hand, if you want to go down the negative path, then whatever input you get, you see as some sort of energy source, and you try to get as much energy out of it. So your actions will be about receiving energy of others in any way possible. So you're not thinking about making the situation nice, you're thinking about receiving as much energy as possible. And as an example of someone who's really negative, in Law of One, the name Genghis Khan is mentioned, and it takes a lot to be really negative, and most of the people are not really dead set on either of the paths. So maybe they lean a little bit positive, or maybe they lean a bit negative, but there's some good with the bad and some bad with the good, or some positive with the negative and some negative with the positive. So let's say about 95% of the people on this planet are not in the game of polarization. They do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And now the purpose for those people is to get sick of this game of doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Like you feel there must be something better, there needs to be something more. It doesn't interest you that much anymore. I mean, the normal activities specifically just for the purpose of having fun or just having some sort of social experience isn't that interesting to you anymore. And if that happens to you, and when that happens to you, you will look for something else. And what you will find is exactly this. And you know, in religion, which I don't like, they say it's all about love. And I guess you could say it's kind of the same thing. Love would just mean making things better for everyone. And while I think that is true, it is all about love, I think the word love is a little bit washed out and a little bit vague, and it's kind of far away from understanding. So I would say it's about making decisions most of the time, or more of the time, that have a really positive impact for you and others. So you invest your own energy to make some sort of win-win happen. And it's specifically not about doing this to get something or doing this because you think you have to. It's about you authentically wanting to do this because it's who you are and it's who you want to be. And maybe some people find that they want to go on the negative path. Personally, for me, that's not really interesting at all. I mean, you can always make stuff worse. And maybe if you are on the negative path, you may even have some short-term success with this strategy, like you get the energy that you want. But in the long term, it's all one system, it's all one, it's oneness, non-duality. So you will have to deal with the mess that you create, so you can't run away. You're creating a mess on the negative path that has to be cleaned up by essentially you. So the negative path is just not thought through. It can only happen because people are very confused and they just don't think it through. But anyway, just so to state it once more, most people don't really have a very specific purpose. They have a very general purpose, and it's to think about who they want to be and come to the conclusion that being a loving, win-win oriented person is the best. And then they will follow through and actually be that person. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.